Coming up on AC 24/7, a big announcement expected out of Georgia any day now. The expected results of a grand jury investigation into former President Trump and his allies following the 2020 election. Plus, nearly 60 years after his murder, the major move for justice from the family of Malcolm X. And she's a hip-hop legend. Now the Brat is going to add another title to her name. What she's saying about the new addition to her family. Hey there, welcome to AC 24/7. I'm your host, Lamar Baldwin. Court hearings are now underway in the deadly Club Q mass shooting. 22-year-old Anderson Aldrich faces more than 300 criminal counts in connection to the November attack. 5 people died and 22 others were injured. Those charges include first-degree murder, attempted murder, and bias-motivated crimes. The judge will decide if there's enough evidence to move forward with the charges. The hearing will likely run through Friday. The foreperson of the grand jury that investigated former President Donald Trump's attempt to overturn the 2020 election says multiple indictments will be recommended. This comes after more than a year-long investigation and multiple subpoenas. The Advocate Channel's John Lawrence reports.
The roughly 7-month probe into former President Donald Trump's actions in Georgia after the 2020 election ended last week.
We heard a lot of very compelling things, like a lot of very compelling evidence, a lot of very interesting things, and things that we didn't expect.
But the matter is far from closed. Georgia grand jury foreperson Emily Kors says the panel is recommending multiple indictments. Kors didn't give specifics, but
we definitely heard a lot about former President Trump, and we definitely discussed him a lot in the room. And I will say that when this list comes out, there are no major plot twists waiting for you.
The former president has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing regarding the matter and claims the investigation was politically biased. He also released a statement last week saying he was exonerated by the grand jury.
If what he was talking about was our statement where we indicated that there was no evidence of widespread fraud or widespread vote fraud in the Georgia 2020 election, that might have been what he meant.
It's now up to Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis to review the recommendations and make charging decisions.
If she has over 12 recommended indictments, that also means she has the ability to potentially flip some of those people.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The family of civil rights activist Malcolm X are planning to sue the FBI, CIA, and NYPD. Tuesday was the 58th anniversary of his death. Attorney Ben Crump is representing the family, which accused his agency of mishandling Malcolm X's assassination. The family alleges conspiracy and concealment of evidence and are seeking $100 million in damages. 3 men were convicted in his death. 2 were later exonerated after a renewed investigation. Lawmakers in 32 states are focusing on voting restrictions. At least 150 state bills with the aim were introduced or pre-filed through January 25th. That's according to a report from the liberal-leaning Brennan Center for Justice at New York University's Law School. The analysis shows an uptick in proposed bills, making it harder to vote compared to the same time last year and the year before. The potential legislation is a part of a Republican-led push to change laws after unfounded claims of fraud in 2020 presidential election. Bills in 2 states go as far as to make it easier to overturn election results. Supreme Court justices spent nearly 3 hours questioning lawmakers in a case that could upend the internet. At issue is whether platforms can be held liable for promoting content posted by users. The Advocate Channel's Jessica Schneider has details.
Lawsuits will be nonstop.
The Supreme Court taking on a case that could reshape the internet, hearing arguments from a family who has lost a daughter and who now wants big tech to pay.
We continue in this fight because we're seeking justice.
The Gonzalez family's long legal fight started when their 23-year-old daughter Noemi was killed in Paris in 2015. Noemi Gonzalez was at a bistro when ISIS terrorists unleashed gunfire, part of a coordinated citywide attack of bombings and shootings that killed 129 people. She was the only American.
It was a terrible, horrible moment in my life that I cannot describe. The pain.
The Gonzalez family now wants YouTube and parent company Google to be held liable for Noemi's death. Their lawyer arguing to the Supreme Court Tuesday that because YouTube not only allowed ISIS videos on its site, but also recommended those videos to certain viewers, the social media site should be held responsible for aiding and abetting terrorism.
When they go beyond delivering to what you've asked for, to start sending things you haven't asked for, our contention is they're no longer acting as they interact.
So even if
But Google says they are protected by the broad contours of Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. Congress passed the law in 1996 to shield internet platforms from being sued for harmful content posted by third parties on their sites. Google's lawyer argued that shield also applies to any recommendations the site might make.
exposing websites to liability for implicitly recommending third-party content defies the text and threatens today's internet.
This is the first time the Supreme Court has considered the scope of Section 230. The justices acknowledged that if the Gonzalez family succeeds, that would open up tech companies to a flood of lawsuits and would require social media sites to heavily police the content posted. And the justices also asked whether it's Congress and not the courts who should clarify how much tech companies are protected.
Every other industry has to internalize the costs of its conduct. Why is it that the tech industry gets a pass? A little bit unclear. On the other hand, we're a court. We really don't know about these things. These are not like the 9 greatest experts on the internet. Isn't that something for Congress to do, not the court?
The Gonzalez family has lost the case at the lower courts, but they continue to search for justice after the death of their daughter at the hands of terrorists.
Nothing is going to give me back my daughter, but at least that is something good is going to be accomplished.
The CEO of Starbucks says the current labor movement is a sign that things have gone sour for young people. Howard Schultz says efforts to unionize in America are a manifestation of a much larger problem. Workers say they are fighting for guaranteed schedules, benefits for part-time workers, and more. Schultz was once a progressive leader who's now being challenged as he prepares to step down.
When you have a whole generation that has lived through 2008 financial crisis, 9/11, COVID, and they've been imprinted with a government situation of politics that's not working, government that's not representative of them, companies that have let them down. There is a macro issue here that is much, much bigger than Starbucks Coffee Company. And that, to a large part, is being somewhat intertwined with companies who are now being faced with unionization because they're upset not so much with the company, but the situation.
The first Starbucks store voted to unionize in December 2021. The National Labor Relations Board has certified 282 stores that have voted to unionize. That's a fraction of the company's 9,300 stores. Rapper and entertainment icon Brat is pregnant. The rapper, whose hits include Funkdafied and What You Like, is expecting her first child with wife Judy. The 48-year-old told People magazine, quote, "I never thought I was going to have kids." Brat also revealing to the magazine she suffered a miscarriage before her rainbow baby. Brat co-hosts the Ricky Smiley Morning Show in This Nation. The couple also have their own reality show called Brat Loves Judy. The Queen herself will host the NAACP Awards this year. Queen Latifah, that is. The iconic actor and recording artist is slated to host the 54th annual NAACP Image Awards on February 25th. Latifah is also nominated for an Image Award this year for her performance on CBS's The Equalizer. The NAACP Image Awards honor and highlight the major accomplishments of multicultural artists, entertainers, and changemakers. Beyonce and Kendrick Lamar are tied for the most nominations this year, earning 5 nods each. The ceremony is set to air live on BET February 25th. We are celebrating Black History Month. Today we want to celebrate director and producer Patrick Ian Polk. Patrick Ian Polk made his directorial debut with Punks, an independent film which made its worldwide debut at the Sundance Film Festival. It was the first Black American gay-themed feature film. That film was nominated for a GLAAD Media Award. Ian Polk later won a GLAAD Media Award for Noah's Ark, Jumping the Broom, and received 3 NCAA Image Awards nominations. The Skinny starring Jussie Smollett and Blackbird starring Monique. In 2016, Ian Polk was named on the Los Angeles Times Diverse 100 list for amplifying the voices of African American LGBTQ people. We are happy to announce our parent company, Equal Pride, is signing with the leading entertainment and sports agency, CAA. The agency will identify and create opportunities for Equal Pride, including strategy, partnerships, and more. The signing will further promote equality and diversity and serve to amplify marginalized communities. Thank you for joining us for AC 24/7. For more content that advocates to you, go to advocatechannel.com and make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. For the Advocate Channel, I'm Lamar Baldwin.